I'm the manager here at McCabe Park Community Center. Just want to thank you for joining our virtual summer program this year. We miss you. We can't wait to see you soon. And as always, be you.
Hello! So glad to see you guys today. We are going to look at this amazing creature that I just found. So check out this amazing creature. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. I also noticed that it's brown, and I think I see little white spots on the back. That is so cool. I wonder how I found this. Well, I'm actually going to show you guys today 3 tips on how to locate items like this around your house. So let's start with the first 2 tips. You're going to need a couple of supplies to help you out. Pretty simple and straightforward. You should be able to find these things around your house. The first thing that you really probably need are some containers in order to hold any critters that you find. So I've got here a soup container, an old soup container that I've washed out. I've also got a container that had salsa in it. I've cleaned this out, and it's got a lid so I can keep my critters in. So pretty simple, just anything you find around the house to capture and hold on to a critter temporarily for a little while. And then you're probably gonna need some paper. You know, you can get paper from whatever you had from school. You know, even newspaper will work, but white is usually a better color. So some old recycled paper, and you might need some tape because you're gonna need to tape your paper together into a little critter catcher like this. And we'll use this when we do tip number 2. But for now, for tip number 1, the only thing you need with you is a container. So for tip number 1, I have found that there's a pattern to where you can find creatures that live in and around your house. And they like things that are damp and wet and hidden. So let's try that out and see if we can find something right around here. So it can take a little while to find an organism or a critter. You gotta do some searching. You need to make sure that you're going to replace whatever you move around back to where it started. And you want to just be gentle and slow. I found that looking under pots is a really good place to start. Don't see anything under that one, that's okay. Let's try again. Let's try this pot over here, up on a stump. Don't see anything under there. That's all right. Let's try this one down here. So let's try this pot and see if there's anything under this one. Sometimes it takes a little while to find a critter. So I'm gonna move this pot out of the way and look down, and yep, there's a little guy down in there. So I'm gonna reach in with my container and get this little guy very gently and scoot him into the container. All right, and we're gonna take a closer look at this little guy up close here in a minute. But first, I wanna make sure to put back the habitat that I disturbed in case there's anything else underneath there. I really want to get a close look at the little critter that we found. So remember the paper that we had earlier from our supplies? That's actually a really great surface to look closely at small things. So I'm going to very gently let this little guy out. So I noticed this one's a little different from the spider that we had earlier. This guy only has, oh, look at him. Oh, look at that. He can go underneath the piece of paper upside down. That is so cool. So he's got 1 long body part, and it looks like more legs, maybe up to 10. And he's gray instead of brown. And I wonder what happens. Oh, is he gonna do it again? That is so fun that he can do that. See if he's still on there. Yep, he sure is. I wonder what happens if I touch him a little bit. Woo! He goes a little bit faster. That is so cool. All right, we're gonna make sure to let this little guy go right where we found it. So I'm going to let him go right at the edge here. And hopefully he will crawl under there by himself. I don't want to accidentally squish him, so I'm gonna let him go by himself. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He's right there. And he's headed under the leaves. And he is back where he belongs. So tip number 2 is actually one of my favorite tricks for trying to find hidden critters. So remember the paper we had earlier on? All you gotta do is tape together that paper to make yourself a nice white area to capture your critters. Next is a little harder. You've got to find a really good tree, maybe with a branch that's down low, maybe a bush, maybe even some flowers or weeds in a little corner area, just a place where you can get this paper underneath. I'm gonna lay my paper down under this branch, and I'm gonna do what's called a tree shake. I'm gonna come around here. I don't want to hurt the tree at all, so I'm gonna be gentle about it, but I'm gonna give it a pretty vigorous shake. All right, now I see things moving around, so let me get my container. Oh, there goes the little guy right there. There he comes. Woo. And I'm gonna gently get him in my container. Got him right there. I see another little guy. He's much smaller than this one that's running around on the paper. And I also found this that fell from the tree as well. And that's actually really interesting. It's got some things on it that remind me of crystallized sugar right on the outer edge. It makes me think of a gem or something. That's really cool. And that fell down from the tree as well. All right, do we see anything else down in here? All right, that looks like everything that we found. So we're just gonna move our area, our nice little white critter catcher back to another spot, and we're gonna try again. So the thing about tree shakes is you gotta make sure you try as many different green spaces as you can, and you're more likely to find things. So again, I'm gonna put my sheet down, my critter catcher, down underneath this branch. It's a little bit more of a slope, but that's okay. And I'm gonna shake. Okay, I see a couple little critters. I'm gonna bring it out here on the sidewalk. And let's see what's moving. Oh, that one's super tiny right there. Oh, wow. Oh, this guy's cool. I haven't seen one like that. He's got a really long body, super thin, tiny little antenna. Look how fast he moves. See how much thinner he is than this little guy right here? This one reminds me of the one we saw earlier. I think, let me count. Yeah, I think this little guy has 8 legs right there. So that was a pretty good find on just that one little tree shake. Oh, sometimes when you're outside looking for other things, an unexpected visitor happens to come across your path. The key is always to get outside because you never know what you're gonna find. And while we're out here looking for things in under pots and in trees, this little guy happened to come around. So I'm not going to bother him too much. I just want to make sure he gets out of the sidewalk so that nobody steps on him. So I'm just gonna see, wondering what will happen if I give him, oh, hey there. I give, oh, all right, there he goes. And now he's safe. All right, now it is time for tip number 3. Now with tip number 3, you do need some supplies. You need a pillowcase. You need a coat hanger that you've stretched out into a circle. And you need some really strong tape. Now you can do this with just a pillowcase, but it's cooler and more fun to make a net, which is what we're gonna do. So to make a net, once you've got your pillowcase, make sure you ask your parents first before you do this, okay? All right. So you wanna take your lovely coat hanger that you've made into a circle, and you're simply going to put it into the entrance of your pillowcase, minus the pillow. And you're gonna fold it over so that the edge is folded over like that. And then you're gonna add tape to keep it all together. You might need scissors for this too, I forgot about that. I tend to do my tape like that. So get into sections. The hardest part's gonna be getting started. So I'm just folding it over like this, and then putting some tape to tape the edge together. Super simple, and this way you'll probably be able to use the pillowcase for what it's intended to be used for, a pillow, when you're done. So I am going to just get started and finish this up. And at the end, you'll probably want to add one extra piece right around the neck of your coat hanger to make sure it is secure. And there you go, you have a net. Let's go try it out. So tip number 3 for finding really cool critters out here that are hidden is to make and use a net. And it's amazing how much you can find just in the grass right around your house. So we're gonna test it. I'm gonna show you how to use this. And I do want you to remember that a lot of times when we're getting stuff near and around the grass, it could have a stinger on it or something you need to be careful of. So just be aware and be cautious when you're getting your organism and putting it into the container. So let's give it a shot and see what we can find. So I am going to just sweep the net through the grass and take a quick peek inside. There's some tiny things in here, but I want something a little bigger today. So let me keep searching. Ooh, they show up really well on this white pillowcase that we've used today. So there is a tiny little guy. Actually, I don't have any idea what that is. I noticed it's got 2 body parts again, and I'm wondering how many legs he has. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, he opened up just a little bit there. Oh, look at that. He's got 8 legs. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. I would never have known he was hiding in the grass if I hadn't swept him up with the net. It looks like his legs are a little bit reddish, maybe orange even. And he looks like he's using his 2 front legs to kind of feel out there. I think this little guy is probably not going to hurt me, so I'm going to let him crawl on my finger and see what he feels like. He tickles. Oh, he's so cool. All right, I'm going to put him back in the grass now that we've had a chance to look at him up close. Thank you so much for joining me today and learning 3 tips to look for critters around your habitat. So just remember, you want to look under things, especially things that have a little bit of moisture or a little bit wet underneath. You want to shake a tree, make sure you've got something underneath to catch it so you can see what you found underneath there. And 3, sweep the grass. It's really fun to make a nest and to sweep the grass and get a chance to find cool things that way. So go outside and have fun.
Hi, I'm Miss Mary and I'm from the Old Hickory Community Center. We're going to be making a tornado in a jar. The things you're going to need to make this are a clear, round container that has a top, that's very important, water, liquid dish soap, and some glitter. First thing we're going to do is put our glitter into our container. You don't need a lot, just a pinch of glitter. And then you're going to do a couple of squirts of your liquid dish soap. Right? And then you're going to fill the rest of your jar up with water. Last thing is you're going to put your lid back on and make sure it is tight, because we are going to be swirling this around. then what you're going to do to actually make the tornado effect is to start swirling your jar. And what you're going to see start to happen is that all your liquid is going to start moving in a circular pattern. And that's called centripetal force. And this is what creates tornadoes in real life, is centripetal force. So swirl it around really good. Then when you put it down, you'll start to see that funnel cloud in the middle, and that's called a vortex. And that is just like a tornado in real life. And you'll also see your glitter start to get picked up, just like any debris would with a real tornado. It'll pick it up and swirl it around, and you get that tornado effect. This is a great representation of what a tornado does in real life.
Welcome to the Metro Parks in Nashville YouTube channel. My name is Anthony Cooper, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create your own t-shirt design. Alright, now that we all have our materials collected, it's time to start drawing our design. Since most of you are fairly new to this process, I would recommend choosing a shape or some kind of letter, maybe your initials. But once you've done it a few times, you should be able to create more complex and be more creative with your artwork. As you can see, I'm drawing a small star here, and a little later I'll draw a larger star. The small star is going to be a filled object, so everything inside the small star will be filled with ink. The larger star is going to be an outline, so it's just going to be an outline of the shape. Alright, so we got to get to that extra step when creating an outline for our star. What we'll do is just trace the star once more and create cut lines. I know you're anxious to get started on your project, so let's go ahead and speed through mine. Alright, now it's time to cut out the stars. The inside of the field star, which is the small star, you can cut that however you like to. It doesn't matter if you damage the inside of that star because it's not going to be there in the end product. However, on the larger star, when we're cutting the outline out, you want to make sure you cut directly on the lines. Come from outside of the star. You don't want to cut from the inside on this one because the big star is actually going to act as a shield for the ink, and it's going to create its own stencil when applying the ink, so you don't want to mess up the big star. I'm just going to trim the edges here, and once I'm done trimming it, I'm going to set it inside the stencil star. Since I cut from the outside for the big star, I want to make sure I patch that up, so I'm just going to use some clear tape and tape up that line so when I'm painting, none of the paint can get through. Now that I have everything all taped up, I'm going to just use a different color background just so you can see how it would look if I had both of the stars with a filled background. Once adding the larger star, you'll see what it'll look like with an outline, with the orange acting as the outline. Okay, I I got my design placed on my shirt where I want it, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to apply glue to the back side of my sheet. That way it'll stick to my shirt while I'm printing. I'm going to do this also for the large star that's in the center of my sheet because I don't want that moving while I'm printing as well. Alright, so this next step is optional. It's completely up to you if you want to do it. I like to use painter's tape to mask off the sides of my sheet, just so I don't get paint where it's not intended to be. Alright, now I'm going to glue the back of the big star, and I'm going to place it right in the design where it needs to be. Alright, we got everything laid out and ready to paint. I'm going to use white paint because it's a great contrast for dark colored shirts. I'm also going to use a foam brush. You can use a regular paintbrush if you like, or you can use your finger, whatever floats your boat. Using the foam brush, I'm just going to lightly dab the stencil using nice gentle strokes. You don't want to be too aggressive because the paper will start to rise up. And if that happens, you'll start getting ink underneath the paper and underneath the stencil, and it'll cause bleeding of the ink. Now that I've completely covered my stencil with paint, I want to make sure I carefully remove the tape so I can peel up that paper and we'll see our design on the shirt. Alright, so the last thing to do is to let it dry. I'm going to dry mine using the heat gun. You can use a blow dryer if you like, or you can just let it sit outside in the sun. You'll know when it's ready to be worn once it's dry to touch.
Okay, first thing we're going to discuss today is a helmet. Absolutely vital being on a bicycle. It can save your life. It saves lives all the time. So anytime you're on a bicycle, wear your helmet. And find one that you like, so you'll wear it, and find one that fits right and is approved, so you'll be safe when you wear it. There's a couple things on your helmet. When you put it on, you want to make sure before you even snap it that if you kind of shake your head around, it's not falling down into your eyes or to the side. It wants to fit pretty snug on there. And then when you do your strap under your chin, you want to make sure that's tight too. Tighten it on down so it's tight against your head. So if you do happen to fall off or wreck a little bit, it's not going to slide off and you hit your head anyway. If you're going to wear a helmet, wear it right so to protect your beautiful brain. We'd like to thank y'all for joining us today. I hope you learned something about bike safety. It's a great thing to do, like we said earlier, one of the most freeing sports you can do. So get out, get on your bicycle, but make sure you're checking it out. Go over all your things that we talked about today. Get out there, be safe, and most importantly, have fun.